people, we're back and we're live. Welcome back to the channel. We got a Monday roundup show for you today. Myself, lead judges, Roms, and there's a couple of others that are joining very soon. That are late on a more, I say early morning. It's 11 o'clock, gents. Come on, man, get yourself up. It's a beautiful morning. Come on, let's talk about football. I wish I could feel like that, if I'm honest. This weekend ain't been great for any of us on this panel. I can't lie to you. Chelsea are the winners this weekend, people. They've been laughing, if I'm honest with you. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Liverpool. We're going to talk about Arsenal. We're going to talk about City. It is the title race at the moment that a lot of people are talking about as being too early. But for me, it's going to be summed up pretty quickly if this carries on. Let me tell you that now. It's absolutely mad what we're seeing so far. This, for me, boys, feels a little bit like a Leicester season. I'm just waiting for Forest or Brighton to win the league at this rate. Like, it's just absolutely mad what I'm seeing at the moment. But big up to you guys for being here. Big up to everybody else as well. Make sure you hit the like and you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to Football's 12th Man, and also make sure you're following Roms on social media. You can see his handle there. We should have Dan joining us, and we should have Flawless joining us very, very soon. Once they have their beauty sleep and put their makeup on and so what, they'll be jumping on. So, look, judges, let's start with us, because it is a miserable weekend for the Arsenal, if I'm honest with you, mate. And do you know what? I didn't expect it. I've got to be honest with you. I woke up this morning and I thought, did we actually not beat Everton? Because I've seen so many bad teams wipe the floor with them this week, over the last few weekends. I've seen Spurs wipe the floor with them. Southampton have just sat their manager. They beat Everton. Man United, under absolute disarray, have managed to beat Everton. Something they did was they got the early goal and then the floodgates opened and it was like 2, 3s, 4s, 5s. That's something Arsenal have not been able to do. And we've not been able to kill teams off for quite some time now, if I'm honest with you. And I look now at some of the results and I look back at some of the results and I think, yeah, there's only really the Forest game. We were 3-0, West Ham where we dominated them and they're in a mess at the moment. Other than that, this season with Arsenal, it ain't been convincing in every single game. We've either walked away with a point or loss, or we've managed to get across the line and just about take the 3 points. And I don't think things are going right at the Arsenal at the moment. And I just need to kind of, now that we've taken the emotion out of it, Saturday night, me, you and Curtis were ranting and raving. How do you feel like 48 hours on, mate?
Oh, 48 hours, like, you know, it's a long time in life, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not been the greatest weekend of my life, let me put it that way, like, you know what I mean? So that was a tough performance. Tough to take because it was a reality check for me more than anything, like, because I think it's been a head in the sand moment for me where I've thinking, no, we're going to get good. It's you know, how can I put it? Like, I've been sort of making excuses. Oh, this has happened, you know what I mean? The Fulham game. But after the Fulham game, we sort of backed it up with the Monaco game, but we weren't convincing that game, even though we won 3-0. And it was, and I don't look at the Monaco game. I don't know if you guys feel that it's a cup game, so I look at it completely different. I take that because it's a different emotion, different pressure, and everything out there. Cup games are completely different. So I look on league to league, basics of league games. And I said this yesterday. Everybody's going on about Manchester City's poor form, and I get that. And ain't much better, but I think because of Manchester City is more spectacular, like because it's defeats and whatever, and sort of gone under the radar how poor we've been in the last 10 sort of games, clutches of draws. But listen, you can play really, really well. Like Liverpool can take a lot of pluses from their draw this weekend. I know they'd be disappointed that they've not beaten Fulham, but you can look at it and go, wow, we've played with 10 men, they've done this and done that. We're looking at our draws, Dan, and we're thinking nothing but disappointment. Or we have not got away with, if we've played, we haven't got away with a performance where we've gone, wow, we've done well to get out of there with a draw. Every game, apart from Manchester City, I would say, it's been disappointing. It's felt like defeats. And it's not been the way, you know, everybody can draw a game at home. You can have the game against Everton. You can have the game against Fulham. We had games like that last year where we lost to West Ham. 32 shots, Dan. You know what I mean? What I'm seeing at the moment is poor performances as well. We're not playing well. We're not, you know what I mean? It's not the first time I've sat there frustrated and thinking that we're not going to score a goal. When are we going to score a goal? When we're looking like to score from open play or whatever, like, you know, when did we open up a team? Now, we did open up Everton with an unbelievable move when Kai Havertz flicks it round the corner for Saka. And Odegaard has got to score that goal. He's got to score that goal. But he doesn't. And then I look at it and I think, well, where else are we going to look? And in the end, Dan, I'm like I don't care. I'm like every other fan. I'm sitting there just going, "Oh, please, Saka, just do something. Just, you know, are you do something? Are you going to get us out of jail here?" Like, I'm not looking at Havertz. I'm not looking at Trossard. I'm not looking at Martinelli. Odegaard by this time's gone off. Declan Rice, who I actually look back at the game, weren't as bad as what I thought he was, but you know, it gets revealed that he shouldn't. You know, he's injured.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, no, don't go down there. Don't go down that route. And you know, I look at teams like Everton, and people slag Everton off, and I get why. But at the end of the day, they have to do what they have to do. You know, their job isn't to come there and go, do you know what? Walk all over us. Let's open all out. Let's have a game of football, and we'll attack you, and you attack us. You beat us 6-0, and everybody but us goes unhappy. Happy. Like, it ain't going to happen. They're going to put in things that are going to stop. You've got to be able to get over the line. You've got to be able to deal with that. And I'm seeing teams now like Fulham change their approach to the game. You know, they didn't play no win. I haven't seen the Liverpool game. I'm going to watch it in a minute, like, you know, but you know, they showed no ambition to attack us. They was at home. They looked for the goal and then sat in and said, right, break us down. And we couldn't. We couldn't, Dan. The only way we broke them down was from a corner. Now, the Monaco game, they put 3 men up front. They looked at the set piece, you know. So now teams are thinking, right, we're playing Arsenal this week. We better work on set pieces. We better work on a low block and all that. You're playing Crystal Palace this week, which is a little bit different. But you're playing teams like Everton, Fulham, those teams down the bottom half of the table that haven't got Europe, so they can work on things all week long, right, to get things right. And they're the teams that we're struggling against. They're the teams, you know what I mean? If Liverpool come to play, they're going to come out and play, you know what I mean? Manchester United, like, by the way, Manchester United in a couple of weeks are going to be a real difficult opponent for us because they're going to have that sitting effect against us. Yeah. But we'll have tools that can damage us. You know, like, I'm not being horrible. Like, Everton ain't got those tools that Manchester United have got and other teams. So you're not only going to get the teams down the bottom playing that, you're going to get the teams at the top going to come there and go, right, do you know what? We're sitting. They ain't going to score. They've got no inventiveness and whatever, and we're hitting them on the break. And that is a problem now. We've set what's the word like? There's a blueprint now how to beat Arsenal or to stop Arsenal from winning games of football. And it's the same with everything. I'm not. Football's brutal, Dan. You know what I mean? I never see Vicario as was weak on crosses. Manchester City exploited it, and then everybody else did. And now look at them now, like, you know what I mean? It's ruthless game. So that's what teams will be doing now, and we've got to find a way. And unfortunately, I can't see it at this moment in time.
No, I can't, mate. Roms, I was speaking to you offline, man. Kind of wanted to incorporate everything today, but obviously looking at what Arsenal did at the weekend, it's hard not to like focus on us, really. And I know that we didn't lose, but it felt like a loss to a lot of the fan base. Everton are a team that we should be beating at home. They're not a side that come and, you know, play football. So you should, as long as you get the first goal, they should then open up. I've got to be real with you, bro. I think our attack is so blunt. It's scary. And I was with Igal not long ago. Igal was on here saying that he thought the Arsenal attack was similar to Liverpool, and that you didn't have an attack that was any better than ours. Well, I think that argument's completely flawed now, in my opinion. Look, I always thought Saka and Salah, we could have that debate. We know Salah's better, but Saka's an absolute baller, right? But then that's where it kind of stops for me, because I think Jota's better than Havertz. I think Diaz is showing he's better than Martinelli. I think Gakpo is showing that he's got better numbers than Trossard and Jesus put together. So I'm quite happy to concede that. I mean, I thought you had a better attack than us anyway, but you get what I'm saying. I look at it now and I think, yeah, that's really looking silly now for a gal. And I love a gal, but that is looking silly now because the players are letting him down on that argument big time. And the one player that's let me down in the last, I would say, 12 to 18 months is Martinelli. And when you can't beat Ashley Young at the age of 39, there is serious problems with your individual performance now. And I've made excuses for Martinelli. I've said that it's the players around him that aren't helping him, and he's got different players playing left back, left wing back, left bloody midfield, up top. I can't make these excuses anymore. I've just got to look at him and the coaching of him as well. He's regressed. He's not developed since the age of 17, 18 when he burst on the scene, where your manager loved him, said I'd take him in a heartbeat. And I just look at Arsenal's attack right now. What's changed, Roms? What looks different to you about Arsenal? Because it weren't long ago people were talking about us being scintillating, scary, title winners. What's happening, man?
Do you know what it is? If you go back to the first season you challenged, I think the season where I think Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, and I think even Xhaka, they all got double digits in the league or in and around that. They were all high when it came to output. Because that season, I think the narrative was no one's expecting Arsenal to challenge, let alone even get top four. Some people putting you fifth and fourth. And you're getting a lot of teams not respecting you. I think the last two seasons, like it ties into what Lee Judges was saying about Everton. You're not going to get teams coming out, you know. You're going to get teams pragmatic. You're going to get teams parking the bus, and you have to have enough quality to break them down. And I'm starting to now think, I don't like to go too early on players and write them off, but I'm starting to now think, was the Martinellis, was the Gabriel Jesus, was they excelling because there was space behind? Because if you're a top six club, a lot of the teams you face in this league, you're not going to get that space in behind. And that's what Martinelli thrives on. He scored countless goals against my club where he just ran in behind because there's space. I always believe your attackers against teams that come at you, I think that's when your attack excels. But it's going back to what you were saying and what Lee was saying. It's like, if it's not Saka, who else is it? I always come on the show and I say to you, Dan, I give Martinelli credit, not Martinelli, Havertz credit for the back end of last year. I think there was a stat at the time that was 16 home games and like 14. It was crazy. But now even he's regressed a bit. Martinelli's regressed. Jesus is a shadow of himself. I think there's a player there, but he's not a striker. Like he excels in other things, but putting the ball in the back of the net, that's not his forte. He come out and said, I'm not really a goal scorer. You don't really want your strikers saying that. You've got Sterling, which you two might be able to educate me, but I don't know what's going on with Sterling. You brought him, and
I wish I could, Ron. I wish I could educate you, bro.
Is he injured or Arteta's just not playing it?
He's a hologram. Me and Laurie, I was talking to Laurie, like Robbie's brother, went after the game. We were just like, is it AI? Is it a hologram? Is it like, what's happening here? Like, I don't understand it. It is the most bizarre signing. And what's even more bizarre, right? If we wanted a winger and we couldn't do anything about it, we go, right, Chelsea wants Sancho. We don't want Sancho. Let's go and get Sterling. Like, what an absolute madness of a decision now when you think, and I'm not saying that Sancho would have taken us to a next level, by the way, but you telling me you could have a chance of getting Sancho or Sterling, and we're picking Sterling out of them two. Honestly, like, it comes back that transfer window, and people tell me that was a bloody 7 or an 8 out of 10 window. I mean, they are absolutely deluded. I gave it a 4 or a 5. I think it's a 2 or a 3 now. We've got a left back that can't play because he's always injured. Marino has not improved us. He might be an all right player. Maybe he's a squad player. He's not going to take us to the next level. And you've got bloody Mark Sterling. Come on, man.
I'm going to speak on that, bro, because you were saying what's the problem with your attack. I just feel like Saka don't have anyone else to help him out. If Saka doesn't play well, it's got to the point where Arsenal don't win a game, which is frightening, especially at this time of your 4th, 5th year for Arteta. But obviously your game was at the same time as ours. I was at my game and I've only seen highlights of yours. But one thing that screamed to me, Arteta's losing the plot. How Marino outlasted Rice and Odegaard is beyond me. You're chasing a goal. I know you might say Odegaard in the last 2 games hasn't been at the races, but I think he's had his little ones, probably keeping him up. I know there's a little joke going on there, little one might be keeping him up. But even though he's been in, I think he wasn't the best against Fulham and Monaco, he had an all-right, I think he had a decent first half, but he hasn't been, when he first come back from injury, the Chelsea game, and there was another game, the Forest game, he was electric, as the Odegaard we know. Even though he's had the last 2-3 games have been bad, he's still a player that can create something out of nothing, especially when you're chasing a goal. You take him and Rice off and leave Moreno on now. Again, I don't like to go too early on plays, but he just doesn't look it. He could prove me wrong. End of the season, I could be saying, he proved me wrong, but I don't really know what he does. I watch Moreno and I'm like, what do you actually do? You're strong, you're quite big, but I feel like the game passes him by a lot of the time. And I'm looking at Arteta thinking, that's kind of on you. That's tactical changes that didn't really help the team. I think it was to your detriment because you take off your biggest creator and one of your biggest tacklers. It's like Everton could have just had a cigar in their mouth. And I know Lee said it earlier. I don't understand when people criticize pragmatic football. If you don't have the quality of a top 4 or top 6 side, you're not going to play the same way because like Lee said, you'll get picked off 4 or 5-0. I mean, you saw it last night with the Spurs game. Southampton don't have the same quality as Spurs, yet they're trying to play them at their game. Well, that's been their story of the whole season. So
look where they are.
Exactly. And look, they're rock bottom and they just had their manager sacked. So I just think Everton did what they needed to do. Fulham did the same thing, and it's. I'll be very worried as an Arsenal fan because it's like we don't know how to break down a low block of recent. Start of the season you did, but now it's like if Saka's not at the races, who else can you rely on? That's the thing. The first season you challenged, you had Martinelli hitting double digits, you had Odegaard hitting double digits, you had Xhaka getting I think he got 4 or 5 goals. If Saka wasn't scoring, the responsibility was on other players. Now it's literally just him. And it is unfair on him. It is unfair on him.
I feel sorry for him. I genuinely feel sorry for him as well because this kid has carried Arsenal for the best part of 3 or 4 years when we were bad. Now that we're supposedly good, he's still carrying us. What's happening here? Like this is not good, man. We haven't protected him enough, in my opinion. And Dan, let me ask you quickly on Arsenal before we move. You can't really blame one person when things go wrong. I think that would be too harsh, right? A lot of people do blame Arteta, and I can understand why. If you had to put the blame on the majority of one person, though, would it be the manager or is it more to it than that? Because I look at what we did in the summer and I don't think that's just on Mikel Arteta, but I do look at the in-game management in this season and I just think it has been nothing short of abysmal in many of these games, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Arsenal's team yesterday and I think, what are you, one player off really having your strongest squad out there? I mean, Calafiori weren't fit. So that's a squad last year that was good enough to challenge City for the title. Yeah, we know City have fallen off, but let's be realistic here. Arsenal have still got a good enough squad to be doing better than what they are. You've got a good enough team to be beating Everton. And I think it comes down to the manager. The manager's not able to solve the problems that are there on the pitch. Look, we can talk about the summer 100%. It wasn't good enough. Squad building is a huge question mark here. The fact that your manager doesn't have options to turn to on the bench that he believes are good enough to win him a game or change it up or give you a different way of playing or getting the result when things aren't going the right way is a massive issue. And that's where you have to look at sharing the blame at Arsenal. But on the pitch, in terms of results, it comes down to the manager for me. The manager and the players. The players have to be better as well. Let's be real. They're not exactly setting the world alight. There are players here that we've seen do better. Someone like Saka is consistently performing to a level, and there are a number of players that, like you said, have regressed or aren't performing to the level that we know they've been capable of before. But I do think it always falls on the manager to motivate those players and get the best out of them and change his tune if it's not working.
No, I agree there, and I do feel like there's a lot of question marks. Judges, just to finish on Arsenal, Wednesday night, we go out that cup to Palace at home. I think the fan base will have a meltdown more than they did at the weekend. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like we was talking about it yesterday. Like, do you play a full strength team or do you,
he has to, doesn't he? He has to.
Oh, no, I think like the likes of Wanyeri have played every round should play in this game. I think Sterling.
No, but what I mean is he has to take it seriously. Is what I mean, right?
Yeah. He's still, I still think that he has, but I think like Kivia should come in for Gabriel, for instance. Like if Calafiori is fit or near fit, then play him. I would rest out Timber, but like, you know, who you going to rest him out for? There's that, you know, bringing in Partey probably at right back again is unbelievable. That's what I think will happen. Declan Rice shouldn't play if he's got a niggle. So, you know, Jorginho comes in there. And I agree with you that they have to win this game. Your mum just made a great point in the chat. I was just reading as we was talking there, like, you know, it is on the manager as well, but it's also on the players as well. Like, I look at it and I think to myself, you know, Saliba and Gabriel, yeah, they've hit the heights of last season, and Saka. Now I'm struggling. Thomas Partey probably. The rest I'm struggling, like, you know what I mean? Like Martinelli, nowhere near at the level he should be at. Like Havertz is not hit nowhere near the form that he was last season. Nowhere near it, like, you know. Odegaard, give him a break. He's had to come back from a long-term injury. This was always going to happen. It was unbelievable, like, that he come back in and give us the boost that we needed. But he can't last 90 minutes at this moment in time, because of fitness issues and all that. Like, so, you know, they're managing his minutes.
Sorry to interrupt you, Judge. Do you not think that is the manager still then? Why are they all underperforming then? Like,
that's what I said. I think the manager's got to take a massive part as well. But these players are not performing. So that's down to the manager. It's down to the way I think that we're playing now. I think that we're a little bit more... I don't know what's happened with us. We're certainly not as attacking as what we are. I don't think the style that we're playing at this moment in time actually suits the team. I agree there. Like, I actually, you know, said, like Dan said there, that's nearly Arsenal's best team. Yeah, it probably is when you're taking on top teams. You're taking on the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs and everything. That I agree with that. Like. But I did say, yeah, I'm happy with that team. But if I was picking that team on Saturday, and I did say this before the game, I would have brought in Wanyeri and played Wanyeri and Odegaard in that game. That's what I would have done, because not hindsight's a wonderful. You knew exactly what Everton were going to do, so why not try and be a little bit more? And I think that's where Arteta is very, very cautious. You know, and listen. You know, the first half wasn't as bad as the second, but then, excuse me, the substitutions that he made, they're all down on him, Dan. That was all down on him. You know what I mean? Like, we was like all over the place when those substitutions come in. I didn't really know what was going on. Like, you know, you're putting Partey at right back, you then put in like your like for like substitutions. Now, you can criticise Arsene Wenger, you can criticise Jurgen Klopp as much as you like over the time and everything like that. But there were games when Arsenal finished with 5 strikers on the pitch. Manchester United, the same, back when they was winning titles. And then, like, you'd go, Man United have scored in the last minute. Arsenal have scored in the last minute. Well, they've got 5 strikers on the park. Yesterday, I you know, like, right, who's coming off? It'll be like Rice for Jorginho for Rice. Guaranteed. Off comes Martinelli for Trossard. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what he'll do. He'll bring Jesus on. I'll tell you what he'll do. He'll put Havertz back into midfield. Love and behold, that's exactly what he does. Why don't you put the pair of them up there? Try and get something off of him and whatever.
Embarrassing, like. That's what it is. Embarrassing.
Lee, can I just say...
It was embarrassing. And, you know, that was I'm looking at these games and looking at these decisions, and I've now made up my mind up that we're not going to win the league. We're not good enough to win the league with the way we're playing and the team that we're and the style of it all and everything like that. And the manager, as much as I like him, and I still don't think that he should be sacked or whatever like that. That's my opinion. He's not going to get us over the line this season. He's not. And the question mark and questions all Arsenal fans will be saying is, can he get them over the line eventually? I don't know that, Dan. If you want my honest opinion, I don't think so. I don't think so. And, you know, that's why Wednesday now becomes so important, because a lot of fans like yourself believe this, and you have to, what's the word now, say to yourself, like, if he doesn't win a trophy, which is what a lot of fans are saying. He's got to go. So I don't know if the League Cup's good enough, but that's what he's got to do now. He's got to win a trophy.
Can I just add on to one of your points, right? Where, like I said, the fact Rice and Odegaard, Marino outlasted them too is crazy to me. But you're spot on. Like the substitutions he made, which indicated he didn't really want to go for the game. I'm just going to compare it to my club. I was pissed off that we dropped points, but even with 10 men, Slot was making positive changes to go for the game.
Yeah,
you would have thought Fulham had
exactly that.
Yeah, you would have thought Fulham had 10 men, and I think that shows the difference. I can see Maresca even doing that. You could even say Amarim yesterday did the same thing. It's like everyone's trying to chase the game and that's trying to win the game. But Arteta, it's kind of like he goes into his shell and resorts back to Tyler. Oh my God, you know what? Even if I can't win the game, let me not lose the game. You're in a title race. Draws are like loss. I always say draws are like losses. I'd rather get a win and a loss than 2 draws on the bounce because you get more points for the former. So I think you're bang on. At this game, again, you don't want to just blame an individual, but it all comes back down to Arteta. I think he's just losing the plot week by week.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'll be really honest with you. I didn't know that Liverpool were down to 10 men after 17 minutes. I knew they was 1-0 down, right? And then the next thing is it's 1-1. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm saying, Liverpool go on and win that, like, you know what I mean? And then someone said, you know, Liverpool down to 10 men. And I went, blimey, what? Just now it's 1-1 and they've gone down to 10 men. All their drops. No, after 17 minutes. And I don't care what Liverpool, it might bite Liverpool a little bit maybe, I don't know with the Southampton game, but they'll have to change a few people. That might take a lot out of Liverpool. But they went for it. And at the end of it, you can walk out of that ground disappointed that you've got a point or drop points, but then you think, wow, that performance, from my point of view, looking in, says they're here for the long term. There's a difference.
Do you know what, Lee? I don't know when we'll move on to the Liverpool section.
Yeah, let's do it, Rom. Let's do it, Rom.
Off the back of your point, I was at the game with my old man, right? And this is how much confidence I have in my team. Yes, I was annoyed because of the result, but at one point I thought we would lose that game. I'm not necessarily saying we would win the game. My prediction was 2-0 because I respect Fulham. They had a lot of players out, and they're just a tough team. They just are. Even the last 2 times we played them at Anfield, we beat them by a goal in the past 2 seasons. They always make it tough. But when we've gone to 10 men and then 1-0 down, there's a guy next to me and my dad, and he said, "Oh, we're gonna lose this. We can't win the title." And me and my dad just looked at him like, "There's so much left of the game, and we're at Anfield. I don't, no pun intended, but it means more tough. We are at Anfield, and I back us against most teams." I said, "You know what? I'm not going to say we're going to win this game, but we won't lose this game." And he turned around and said, "Well, what's the draw going to do in the title race?" And I said, "You know what? I understand where you're coming from." Now, when it went 2-1 down, he turns to me and he says, "Do you still think we're going to win this game?" I said, "I never said win, but I don't think we'll lose. There's something about this ground. We made it a fortress, and we went to like a 3-3-3 formation, and Slot was still going for the game, but it's not like he was going for the game without logic. He was still going. The thing is, our weak point was Trent. I'm going to get onto Trent later because they were targeting that side, and his head's in Madrid, but we'll get onto that later. But at no point I thought we were losing that game, and that's testament to my manager, because after the game, I was annoyed because I don't like draw. I hate draws. Sometimes I hate draws more than losses in the context of a title race, should I say? Not in general, but in the context of a title race, right? But then I saw your result, felt a bit better because I didn't look at my phone or anything. But I was like, you know what? It's still Chelsea, and I kind of knew Chelsea would beat Brentford. From when you haven't beat them in the last 5 games, the law of averages, you're due a win. And I was like, you know what? Chelsea probably went and closed the gap, and it's annoying. But when I actually, things after the game, your emotions are high. You don't always think logically. Let's put it like that. Then in the evening, when I got back to London, I was thinking, we went behind twice, had 10 men early. I'm actually very encouraged by that. And some people might think in the comments what I'm about to say mad. That performance can almost be more encouraging than like a 4-0 whopping of a team. Like, you know, sometimes when you blitz a team, you don't really learn much about your team. But I learned more from that performance than like a 3-4-0 emphatic win. And I said to my dad, you know what? I'm actually proud of this team because yes, we dropped points. I'm not excusing that. We dropped points, but the character he showed, and this goes back to what you were saying, Potts, right? Big up a gal, but to say your attacks on par of ours is crazy because I've always said Jota's my favourite player at the club. And outside of Salah, Gakpo's had a very good season. Diaz has done what he does. Purple. Me personally, I'm not Diaz's biggest fan. He always starts well and he kind of tells off. Gakpo's played well. Nunes is Nunes. Chiesa we don't see. But Jota's the only other attacker that can take the pressure off Salah. He's the only other attacker that can win us a game. And he showed that in the last 3-4 years. And when he came on, that's what gave me more confidence. Even without him, I think we still get a draw. Just the way we were playing. Fulham had a man advantage and kind of was even more pragmatic. It was crazy. It's like they conceded within themselves. You know what? Let's not go for the game. But they still picked us off in the counter because our right-hand side was Trent, right? I've said since Stock's come in, Trent's been a better defender because he's not going forward as much. He's been asked to be stay back a bit more. But it kind of made me feel like us Liverpool fans have been giving Trent a lot of praise. But I feel like he's still not that great of a defender, but because he's doing better than what we've seen in the majority of his career, we're lapping it up and we're making it out like he's been amazing. But really, he's still not that good. But just because he's better than what we're used to, we're going over the top with it because the amount of times they had that out ball on his side. And I've always said with Trent, he's not really a good defender, but sometimes what covers his deficiencies, one is Konate and two, his application. Sometimes he'll recognize, he's not the quickest, but he'll recognize danger and he'll wipe it up. This game, he was seeing the danger and just wasn't bothered to even go to it. And I was in Anfield Road and we were fuming. The cop were fuming. You saw online, everyone was getting onto him because it's one thing not being able to defend, but it's another thing not trying. He just, his head wasn't there yesterday. And every time they had the ball to, I think it was Adama when he came on. Who else was on his side?
Anthony
Wilson,
Robinson,
Harry Wilson.
Anthony Robinson.
Anthony Robinson. And even Harry Wilson, our ex-player, was running rings around him that kept beating him at the byline. And this is why I keep saying to our fans, Konate is a big reason why Trent has also defended well. Because even in the game against you, Potts and Judges, right? The amount of times Martinelli gets the beating of Trent, but Konate is there to just cancel out the danger. And there's a lot of times in that half where Kwanzaa and Gomez, they just weren't putting out the fires like a Konate would. And that's why he's another big miss. But yeah,
Konate, I think, has been your best defender this season.
Same. I think he's better than Van Dijk. Honestly, I know Van Dijk it's easy to say is he'll grab the headlines, but Konate has been our best defender this season. And listen, I was one of his biggest critics because I said the ability's there, but sometimes his decision making is not always there. He'll engage when he doesn't have to. Do you remember at Anfield last season, Potts, where you lot scored within 2 minutes of Gabriel header because Konate made a foul that he didn't need to make? But Slot has come in and kind of ousted that out of his game. But on the whole yesterday, when I came out the ground, I was annoyed. Then I had time to think about the game. And I was like, you know what? I'm encouraged by that. Yes, Chelsea have closed the gap. And it is a bit annoying. You want to try and make the deficit as big as possible. But yeah, I was encouraged by that. And the fact we had 10 men and we looked like we wanted it more. And not even looked like we wanted it more. We played better. They were holding on the last 5-10 minutes. I was encouraged, man. I was encouraged, I must say.
Listen, I would have been as a Liverpool fan. Let me just close with a couple of super chats before we move on properly. So I've got one more question for you, Roms, before I bring Flores and the boys in. This from Suj says, big up, gents. Hit the likes and subscribe. People, make sure you do that, please, man. There's mad people in here. So make sure you hit the likes up. Make sure you subscribe to everybody on the panel, please. I feel we're going back to our crazy spending days. I mentioned forwards, but explain how Arteta is the second highest paid manager in the world of football on £15 million. Well, he's got to deliver if he's on that amount of money. And I think you're right. I don't think we're going back to just crazy spending days. I think we're going back to some of the COVID days with these performances. And that was not a good time, people. Trust me. In terms of the spending, I think, Suj, you said it. We spend 1.2 million a week on our forward line. So they've got to start delivering. Let me tell you that. Absolutely crazy. Michael has said, I'm a gunner since the mid-80s. We're miles off it. Miles. I've seen us win in the 80s, 90s and 2000s. This team and the manager don't have the force needed. Do you know what? Sometimes you have to look at that and be real. I look at the teams that have won Premier League titles, not just Arsenal teams, Man United teams, Man City teams, the Liverpool side, Chelsea side. Arsenal ain't nowhere near those. They're nowhere near them, if I'm honest with you. In terms of the squad, even the first 11, I've been saying it for a while and I get bored about it, to be honest. So I just don't mention it anymore because it's doing my head in. But that's the way I see it, man. Listen, Flawless, big up to you, my bro. Let's quickly touch on Liverpool before we go to your game because it was a mad end in your game, which we're going to get to.
Tell me about it.
You got your voice back for us.
Yo, nah, the voice is still gone, man. That's why I sound like this. This is why I sound, yo, the limbs in the away end is crazy. That's why I sound like this.
Brother, I'm glad you had a good day, man. You deserved it. I watched the game and I thought you deserved the win, but we'll come to that in a minute. Listen, let's touch on Liverpool and bring in this title talk because I don't know where you're at with where the title is right now, and I know that it's early. We're not even at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
But my God, like this has been a mad season, you know. And I look around and I think if Bournemouth win tonight against West Ham, they can actually go ahead of Man City. You know, it's actually that crazy.
What?
Yeah,
Yo, that is.
It's actually mad. They can go. I mean, they can go
tonight. They go book Man City,
brother. I'm not even joking. Someone do the maths quick. I'm sure that is true. The Bournemouth beat West Ham. They can actually go above City and
Got beaten by 2 clear goals.
If they win by 2-0, there we go. I thought
West Ham are rubbish, so that could happen.
Yeah, that could easily happen.
That could happen, 100%.
And is it 4th place, right? I'm not tripping. That's put them into 4th, right, or 5th?
No, they put them into 5th.
5th.
Yeah.
So that's how mad this league is, Flawless. I do not understand what's happening. And I said it earlier before you come on, this feels like a Leicester year, but there ain't going to be the team that's Leicester. It's not going to be maybe it'll be a Bournemouth, right, or a Forest. But I look right now and I think this is one of those seasons where everybody just looks rubbish. And I understand why Chelsea might get excited and Liverpool might look at it, but it's taken a fall off from both Arsenal and City to be dragged down to their level for this to now be a little bit of everybody's, in my opinion, because I thought City and Arsenal and Liverpool were all going to be fighting for it. Liverpool were the only ones that actually play in the way that I expected them to play. I mean, they've surprised me a little bit because slots come in and all that, but I thought Liverpool would be up there, to be fair. This Fulham result, I mean, to be fair to them, I actually think it's a good result because when you go down to 10, you see what happens with Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's trying to like praise our draws. When Liverpool draw, it's like, oh, that might not be a good result. That might not be a good result. That shows you that actually, yeah, Liverpool are decent then because Arsenal were cheering it. Liverpool are devastated by draw. So how do you see this one at the moment, Flawless? Talk to me.
Yeah, in regards to the title race, you mentioned it there with Liverpool. Even when Liverpool went down to 10 men with 1-0. Like I say, apologies, people. My voice is finished from yesterday still. I didn't realize until I started talking like this. Liverpool, yeah, serious. Yo, it's mad. Liverpool, they're a good side. And even though they went down to 10 men and I wasn't watching their game, I still felt they was going to win the game. And I'm glad that they drew it. Obviously, I'm Manchester United. I would have preferred them to lose that. But that's just credit to Liverpool as a team. And even with players missing, Rams mentioned Kadai, and you have to credit Slot for that because that they still go for it. That they made Fulham retreat even with 10 men. Like it's not like Fulham came out and played and tried to dominate the ball, and so that's credit to Liverpool, and it shows how consistency is just key. That's why when people always over exaggerate how far away your team. Oh, this team is 5-6 years away from title. Nonsense. All you need is a little bit of consistency. You can be right there. That's what Chelsea have done. Chelsea are literally in the situation they are in. They got some talented players. They brought in a manager no one knew too much about, and he's implemented the system. And you see where they're at now. So that's where it is. And you mentioned it's like a Leicester season, and that's right. Because that's what Leicester did, was take advantage of the top teams not doing what they're supposed to. And that's what Liverpool are doing. The City have fallen off a cliff. No one's seen that coming. That's like 1 win in 12, which we'll get to. Arsenal are nowhere near where they've been at the past. Exactly. 1 win in 12 sounds crazy. Arsenal are not at the level they've been at the past 2 seasons. So Liverpool and Chelsea have took full advantage of that. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I'd still say I still think Liverpool are favourites for the league title. And I think they'll win it as well. I think they'll get over the line.
See, I'm with you. I actually do think as good as Chelsea are playing and as good as they look, I still feel they will come short. I might be wrong. And I tell you what could change that: January. Chelsea go and splash cash in January. They go get a goalkeeper, a striker. Let's just say they go and get Diogo Costa from Porto and they go get Osimhen. I'll be looking at Chelsea differently, going, whoa, they could go win this league now.
That's one thing, sorry to cut you off. I think I've never seen a January look so key for a title race before. If
Same.
Liverpool, even though I think they're favourites, if Liverpool can strengthen now if they go and actually do business in January. Bear in mind, get players that slot actually once. They only added Chiesa, who we've not seen. Same with Chelsea, you mentioned there. Who knows if City go and spend big money? Who knows if Arsenal go and spend? I'm looking at those four. They're the four teams you're looking at who you go. Literally, a good January transfer window can win you the league. If those four teams go and do some good business. Yeah, go on, Rams.
You know what, Royce? I think we win the league, and I think we make an addition. I think we need two, but I think we make one addition in January. And I'm going to speak for us fans here. Lee and Dan Potts, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but with our owners, you can't be confident that we're going to bolster in January. Whereas a Chelsea and Man City,
they're the two
have ambition to win. You just know they're going to spend in January. Where FSG and the Cronkies might say, "You know what? We've got solutions within the squad already." Do you know what I mean? So that's the only worry I have. I actually want my owners to be ambitious. If you could smell blood and you could see that you can win the league, and we're in the best position to win the league, go and do what you can. Go and do what you need to do to win the league. Because like you said, Flores, we spent 10 or 12 million on Chiesa and spent money on a keeper that doesn't come until next summer. So we have got money. This is why I think if we don't bolster in January, I think you know what our fans are like, but we'll be even more fuming at FSG. But you're spot on, bro. I think I've said this is the January I think we're going to see the most money spent ever. Not even just the title teams. I think maybe you lot will spend. I think maybe Spurs will spend. I think everyone, the whole league in general, will spend money this January.
Also because of how close it is. So obviously mention those four because they're chasing the title. But when you look at Bournemouth, who we talk about, if they win today, could go fifth. Imagine they're like, all right, let's go and strengthen. We could get into Europe. Europa League for a Bournemouth could be crazy. Let's say City's fall off continues. One of the teams could look at that and go, hey, Champions League is on there. Obviously, we know about coefficients. It could potentially be the top 5 as well. Just because of how close the league is. I say we signed 13th. I think we're 4 points off 6. Or something crazy like that. It was like literally everybody in the league is going to look at it and go, all right, well, maybe everyone's going to know how serious their ownership is about their club being successful. Because if you're near the top of the table in January and literally adding 2 players or adding 1 player or even more than, or even 3 or 4, even if it's a loan deal, could win you a league title, go for it. But we all know, like you mentioned, the City board is serious about it's win at all costs for them. Chelsea board is the same. My board, Arsenal, Liverpool, not as much. That's why none of our fan bases are fans of our owners, despite success. You mentioned it there about FSG, Liverpool playing, but if you don't win the league this season, guarantee you'll look back at January and go, why did we not strengthen? Knowing exactly what we need. Because it's not like it's a preseason thing where you don't know what you need. We all can sit here and talk about our teams and go, this is exactly what we need. So if we know it, surely the manager knows it and the recruitment team knows it and the board knows it. And it's just a couple players that could get us potentially a league title or top 4 finish for certain teams or Europa League or even Conference League, depending on what teams you're talking about. So January is going to be interesting. I think City will spend big.
I think it's the players that are going to be interested. The players that people are looking at right now, Vlahovic, Gyökeres, even, I know it's mad, I don't think he'll go, but Isak's being spoken about, Osimhen's being spoken about, Zubimendi's being spoken about. And you've got players in the Premier League at the moment that are doing well, people are looking at, like Bruno Guimaraes is being spoken about, Anthony Gordon is being spoken about. You've got Kudus being spoken about. Now, I don't expect all these players to leave in one window, by the way, but they're the sort of players that could actually be massively linked. And you look at Chelsea's owners have proven they do not care how much it takes to bring people in. You've seen that with Enzo. You've seen that with Caicedo. When they want a player, they'll go and get them. And they'll just say, how much do you want? We want 60. All right, we'll give you 100. Go get him. And they're like, wow, right, okay. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with Arsenal and Liverpool, it's like, Sterling on like Chiesa, 10 million. And this is where the ownership thing comes in for me massively. And I think that will be key, man. I really do. Look, I don't know how you feel, Dan, about Chelsea. I mean, yesterday was a good result for you. I actually did have you down to win 3-1. You obviously got the game done. Was it as comfortable as the scoreline suggested? I mean, I didn't look at the the game because I just saw the goals. That's literally I saw Cucurella, by the way. What the hell was he doing at the end? I don't know what's the matter with him, by the way. What a horrible player. I know he's a good player, but he's horrible, isn't he? I can't stand that Cucurella. I honestly don't know what's wrong with him. But you got the win. You must be happy. I mean, Chelsea fans are probably one of the happiest this weekend. It's probably, if Carlsberg did weekends, bruv, you're probably taking this weekend all day long. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Love doing adverts, man.
Look, teams around us just keep sort of slipping up, and every time I would have not expected Chelsea to really take advantage of that this season. We've done it, and this game in particular was definitely a tough one. It was way tougher than I think the name of who we played suggests. The scoreline, Brentford against Chelsea is never an easy game. I think that's probably one of their biggest games in the season. They view Chelsea as a massive scalp if they can get that result. We're now 7 wins on the bounce. I think we're playing really good football, but that was not comfortable, especially in the sort of, I don't know if any of you saw any of the highlights, but before Jackson got his goal, when we were maybe, what were we, 1-0 I think at that point. I was a little bit concerned that Brentford would make it 1-1. And then when they even went 2-1, it just wasn't comfortable. They've got players that were hitting the crossbar. They're a difficult side to play against. I mean, that's what the 2 highest scoring teams in the Prem playing against each other, I think. And yeah, all right, Brentford away from home, I'm not doing nearly as well as what they probably should be off of their home form. But yeah, a difficult game and a massive win for Chelsea, because in recent seasons, that's one we've not been able to get. And that just shows me we've massively turned a corner.
Yeah, you massively have, if I'm honest. This season, I've got to give it to you. I can't lie. And I thought I thought Chelsea would be in and around top 4. Excuse me. Then you started playing and I thought, oh, they're going to cement top 4 here. I never had you down as a title race. I still don't know that you will be there February, March time. And if you are, I have to give you the respect to Maresco, if I'm honest with you. I think the goalkeeping situation, although he played quite well yesterday from what I saw in terms of saves, I still think there's issues there. I also think defensively with Chelsea, I'm just not sure you're as solid as you could be. I'm not saying Tosin and Colwell and these guys are not good. I just don't know if they're at the title winning level yet. That's all I will say. And as much as, I mean, Jackson for me has proven me wrong in terms of his finishing this season. He did miss a stinker, by the way, yesterday still.
Oh,
but
massive.
I still, and that's why I think that you could upgrade on him and have Jackson as a squad player coming on in and around that front three. I think would still be good, because I still think he can play wide as well as up through the middle. But I've got to say, Roms, I know that you ain't got long. Chelsea, I've got to give you a bit of credit, because you always had them in and around that kind of top 4 last season and this season, and you can kind of see why, because their players, they're there or thereabouts, ain't they?
I always said they got the players to not necessarily compete for a title, because I had them 4th. I'm not gonna act like I had them in a race, but they've got more quality than a lot of teams in this side. And I said, if they could just have a regimented system and I managed to put it all together, because even Poch, I know a lot of Chelsea fans can't stand him, but even the back end of last season, I know a lot of the teams were, you could say, at the beach and they had achieved their objective, but you still have to win your games. And you lot made a late charge for 4th, and I reckon if there was an extra 3 or 4 games, you probably would have pipped Spurs to that 4th split place. But the way I see it with Chelsea, right, and I was saying this to Dan off air, that Jackson goal, sometimes in games of football, is so important when you score. I only watched the second half of your game, Dan. I didn't see the first half, but they were coming into the game. They were bombarding you. Look, they were kind of through the kitchen sink at you. And for Jackson to score, even away scores, get the ball, kind of shifted it and bang. Like, didn't give the keeper time to set whatnot. I think it was key, because once it went 2-0, even though Brentford got one back, I still think Chelsea have just done enough. They've scored in a period of time they needed to score. And yet Chelsea are literally capitalising on everyone dropping points around them, and you've got to give them credit for that. But again, Potts, this is where I agree with you. I think around March, April times, you will see they still got a young team, and I think the naivety will kick in my opinion, because I even look at the Spurs game. Spurs went 2-0 up, but the way Sanchez was gifting Spurs the ball, if that's a team with more quality, that could have been 3-4-0 Spurs, and then you're looking at a different game. And even yesterday, right, it's unfortunate for you, Dan. Similar to us with Kanate, I think Colwell and Fofana aren't getting enough credit. I think that back four of, you could say Caicedo now, Caicedo, Cucurella,
Cucurella.
Fofana, Colwell, they're not getting enough credit because I think before Fofana got injured, you had the third best defensive record. So this lazy narrative that Chelsea's defense is bad, it wasn't as bad. But I look at your other three players that come in, Tosin, Disasi, and Badiashile. They don't look convincing with Colwell. Even yesterday, Tosin got dispossessed like 2 or 3 times that second half and just gifted them the ball. And again, if you do that against a Liverpool, I'd like to say Arsenal and City now, but you can't really even name them teams right now. But you get the gist. If you do it against a team with quality, you'll get punished. And I just still think next season, I think Chelsea will actually be strong contenders. You're winning your games and you are second and you are in the race. I'm not saying that, but I just think as the season progresses, can these young players deal with a title race? That's my only thing. And like Dan said, I still think your keeper Sanchez has played very well. You know, I do streams with you every week, Dan, and I say, you know what, Sanchez gives me confidence. But listen, he is actually performing. That save he made, was it Damsgaard? But he made a class save yesterday. Yeah, and I think if they score at that point, the game changes. And again, Jackson scored when he needed to, and Sanchez made a good save. But I still just think if Fofana's now out, I just think that centre-back pairing, Colwell's good, but whoever partners him, I don't have as much confidence. And your keeper, Sanchez will still lose you points. As much as he's playing well, I'm looking at the bigger picture. I still think he'll lose you points. But Chelsea are doing very well, and they're doing what they need to do, and you can't doubt them.
No, but facts, man. Listen, Ron, love, bro. Absolute love, man, for coming on, bro. Make sure you... Love, man, absolutely love. Do you know what? This super chat is actually quite fitting. Before we move on to the United derby, Jamie says, "Did Arsenal get the wrong City assistant?"
Maybe
you got to laugh or you try. I mean, if Maresca manages to win the league before Arteta, my word, maybe we did pick the wrong City assistant.
One thing I will say about Maresca, and people forget about this, and maybe me clinging on to things, he was romping it with Leicester.
He was, and then he fell
the
off
championship, and they fell off and just got themselves over the line. So you never know.
You never know in football. You never know. Never know. Listen, judges, I'm going to stick with you before I come to Flawless. That Manchester derby to close, mate. Was that one of the most boring games of football with the most exciting ending you've ever seen? I mean, I was watching the game thinking, this is dead, man. City are awful. United, I thought, were the better side, but it was like they were passing around. It wasn't any massive amount of clear cut. It wasn't like both keepers were being peppered. It weren't great quality. But you know what? I've always questioned the individual quality of Manchester United until yesterday, because that goal from Diallo is insane, mate. That was an unbelievable pass from Lisandro Martinez. And that is, do not underestimate how hard that is to do, by the way. That is an incredible piece of skill to flick that over the head of the keeper and then to put it in. Okay, you can question what the defense are doing if you want. I don't mind doing that. But that is an unbelievable piece of skill. Forget the way it went in because, you know, maybe they should clear that. But just looking at that bit of skill or quality, I thought that was insane, mate. And I thought, do you know what? If there's any player on the pitch that deserved it, it was that kid, because they have been crying out for something. You've got Garnacho stinking out the gaff. You've got Rashford sulking like a baby. Both of them get left behind. And this guy comes and delivers a performance that I think now keeps both of them at the time. Like, let's just be real. I thought that was an unbelievable ending of a game that I thought was going to be pretty deadly. I've got to be real.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching it in the club, like, you know, and the one thing it wasn't a great game. It was probably one of the worst Manchester derbies up to that point. But you always felt that City were going to give something away. I don't know if you felt that, like, as a Man United fan. I don't know. It just looked like that. I always thought that they was going to nick something. I said, Man United are nick something in this game. And then, love and behold, they get a blatant penalty, which, you know, how can the ref not give that as a penalty? I know, like, VAR.
It's crazy.
I know VAR can't get out with, like, they're trying. I don't know. It's such a it's a blatant penalty. You think, oh well, it's going to change, and then, you know, let's be honest. Really, I think as Man United have to play, they should have scored with Fernandes, but, you know, then they've been gift wrapped a couple of goals. Like, you know, well, it's definitely the first one.
The penalty.
The penalty. Like, what is he?
What was he doing there? That Nunes.
What was he doing, like, you know? But then the second goal, I think it's a standard ball in, you know, it's poorly defended. I know that he's done well there. Like, give the kid the credit. It's a fantastic goal.
Yeah, it was quality.
from Man City's point of view, it's just abysmal defending, just totally abysmal. And then he gets a little bit of luck with the finish because he doesn't hit it properly. But if probably hits it properly, he don't score. It's one of those ones that you get on target. So it's a great finish. And if I'm not mistaken, is the defender on the line trying to back it ill out, or what is he trying to do? Like?
I think because he was on the run, judges. That's why. Because he's on the run, he can't shift his feet in time.
Yeah, and goals like that, they're the ones. Sometimes, when you play football, you will play and you hit it too well, and it don't go. If he hits that probably too well, it might come off the defender. The way he hits it, it's just enough pace to just, it's a great goal. It was a tremendous goal, and to win a derby like that, it's brilliant. The best thing for Man United yesterday was what he done off the field, the manager. I think at the end of the day,
absolutely,
this could be a turning point for Manchester United, because if you're going to leave players out and make a statement, leave them out of that game. It's the beginning of his tenure. It's the big, it's not a free hit as because you're playing Man City, but Man United, it's the first one. You're not expected to win it. I think it was a masterclass what he's done. What he's saying is to them two players, right? That's the biggest game. You're not even in the squad. So come back in on Monday. We've got Manchester. We've got Tottenham next week in the cup. Get yourselves training, and see what response you get from them two players. And I bet they're back in the squad for the game on Thursday. And that was a game, by the way, that 2 weeks ago I'm saying, well, that's Tottenham into the semi-final. Now I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe not. You know what I mean? Because what they will do, Man United, is there'd be quality on the defending side of it, but they've got players that can hit you on the break like they did yesterday and win a game of football. It will transfer to a different Man United in a little while, but that's what they do. And they're a dangerous animal to when they come down to the Emirates in a couple of weeks' time as well, because they'll be a little bit more organised, a little bit more about them. But for me, to go and beat Man City, who at this moment in time, it has got to be said now, are awful by the standards that they are.
Can I ask you a quick question on that, Lee? Very quick. Is he sackable, Pep? Like, real talk, because I don't think he is. I think he's got way too much credit in the bank. But when you go 11 games now and have one win, if that continues, which at the moment doesn't look like it's changing, by the way, because they are so bad, I don't rate them to pick up any points whatsoever.
You're Aston Villa away next game.
Exactly. How bad does this have to get, I suppose, is my question, for the mood to actually question the manager? Because there's a lot he's doing. I'm thinking, what is he on about here? There's a lot of stubbornness from him as well, man.
Yeah, listen, he's under a little bit of pressure. I don't think that they're sacking him at this moment in time. No. I'll tell you what they would. They'd sack any other manager. Any other manager that was, like was they've sacked managers like Pellegrini when he's won things and all that. They would be sacked, but because it's Pep, they won't. But I listen. I've always been in this camp. Listen, Pep's unbelievable what he does and all that. But I've always said it. Give him a team that's not got money, got like that. What can you do and all that? Well, he's not proving it. You know what I mean? Like Jurgen Klopp had injury after injury. I remember a couple of seasons ago and got Liverpool into the top four. Do you remember that when he had all those injuries and all that? And he never had that drop off. And I think it is now time to not at the moment, but there's got to be questions. Is he this fantastic coach? You look at it like, I can't win the league. Because I haven't got the fullbacks. Oh, here's 100 million, go and get 2 fullbacks, which he did do. And then he goes and wins the league. You know what I mean? I can't work with these centre-halves. Oh, okay, I'll give you another 2 centre-halves for 100 million. You know what I mean? Now everybody's saying, and I've just heard it on here, like, oh, well, January, you go and spend big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, what is he? Is he a checkbook manager or is he this wonderful, wonderful coach?
Well, he is a bit of both. He is a bit of both, man. Because I've said,
can't prove it then. Because at the moment, you're not proving it. You're not proving. You know what?
I've said this for a while with Pep. Right? If I said to you, I've got the best team here, clear. Who do you want to manage? You want Pep Guardiola because he will deliver everything with that team. If I said I've got a bit of a rubbish team here, the tools are a bit blunt, but I need a manager to get them across the line, I wouldn't give them to Pep, Because Sir Alex Ferguson always made this comparison. LB didn't like this when I said this on Straight Facts with Terry the other day. He didn't like this, but I think he was misunderstanding what I'm saying. When you have tools and they become blunt, you need a manager that can get across the line. How Fergie won the league in 2013 with that team shows how unbelievable of a manager he is. Because people will throw back at me, well, they had Rooney and Van Persie, right? Have they not got Foden and Haaland? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they've got old players. Did they not have Scholes at 39 that they brought out of retirement? Giggs at 40? Did they not have Rio Ferdinand and Vidic that were like dying at the back? They had Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, Raphael,
Anderson in midfield,
Fletcher, bloody like all these guys, and they got across the line. Now maybe it's different now. Maybe they're better teams now. If you want to talk about that, fine by me. But I would disagree with that personally. But I just say, look, Pep's a wonderful, wonderful manager. I'm not even taking anything away from him. And I agree with the chat. Even if he lost the rest of the games of this season, you don't sack him because he's that good, right? But when I look at it right now, this is where he will get comparisons to Alex Ferguson. And for me, he's the greatest manager. And you know, I've said before, even a few months ago, I think Pep might be the greatest of all time. And I've even gone back on that myself within a few months because I think, you know what Sir Alex Ferguson did for that long to dominate that much in the game just proves how good that he was. And when the tools go blunt, he ain't really got any answers, Pep. As Lee says, it's, can you get me another midfielder now? Can you get me another striker now? Because if Ireland gets it, can you get me another wing? Hang on a minute. And you got a great academy there where Morgan Rogers has come out of, Lavia's come out of, Palmer's come out of, Pedro Porro's come out of. All those guys would walk into their squad by the way now. Every single one of them would. So I look at it and yeah, I'm with Lee. I think you need to question that. But look, Flawless, unbelievable for you. Brilliant day out as well. I didn't realize you were there. So
yeah, like I said, that's why I sound like this because I was there. That's what this is.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's a crazy game. I was saying, and it's always great to win a big game, Manchester derby, especially in that fashion. First and foremost, judges mentioned it because as I was leaving, I heard the news about Rashford and Garnacho not being in the squad. I didn't even know the lineup. I said the lineup's 8 out of 10 already. I said just by leaving those two out, 8 out of 10 lineup, and I don't even know what the 11 is because that's such a big statement and dispels all these myths that they have to play. Or people have said to me, is it in their contract they have to play? No, managers choose to play those two when they've been here. So whether that's Amorim, whether that's the last guy, whether it's whoever else. So to leave them out, and it's a Manchester derby. It's not like he's left them out of a Europa League game against Bodo Glimt or a Victoria Pilsen, or we're playing a Brentford at home on a 3 p.m. No, this is all eyes on us, Manchester derby that everybody's watching. And he said, you lot have been performed so poorly and been so bad that you don't even make the bench. And it's not even like we have stars on the bench and there's players we've left out where you go, oh, they're exceptional. It's like, no, you lot have been that bad that you're at home. And in regards to the game, it went the way our games have been going. In regards to defensively, we've been pretty solid. Kept the ball well. Can't remember the last time we did it at the Emirates. We did it at their play at the Etihad yesterday as well, where we've kept the ball well, but our lack of quality in the final third is the issue, and that's been the problem. The system has been implemented to a T because a lot of our games have gone like that, and it's kind of like if Diallo doesn't do anything in the final third, we don't really have too much else. Bruno's pretty much useless in the final third, as is Højlund, and that's why we weren't really too good. Mount got injured. Maino got on, that helped, and then they score their goal, and it's like that's all they did in the first half. We were poor going forward in the first half, as they were, and it's like, all right, 0-0 would have been cool, but again, another set piece, something we need to rectify. But then in the second half, we stepped it up and started to get on the ball more, started looking more threatening going forward. Diallo was linking up with Maino over that side. Mazarari was there as well, and we started creating chances. And even my guy who I was with was like, can't believe we're losing this, but he's like, I think we can win this. And I was of that belief. You had the Diallo header that went just wide. There was the penalty we should have had with Højlund. But then when Bruno goes through and tries to dink the goalkeeper and misses, you go, all right, this is it. I thought it was all over. Like when he missed that, I was like, this is going to be one of them games where we've lost it and everyone's going to overanalyze the performance and do results-based analysis and go, United were terrible in the game, even though we were the better side. And then boom, get the penalty, moment of madness from Nunes, but credit to Diallo. You have to credit Diallo for that. He's made that happen. Bruno takes the penalty, and from when Bruno scored the penalty, there was only one team that was going to win that game. That was us, and it was like, go and get the winner. And the second goal is a moment of quality from Martinez and a moment of quality from Diallo. And The touch, I don't think people realize. Not only was the pass fantastic from Martinez, the touch from Diallo is purposeful. He's purposely put that out of his feet like that, because if he goes to, because Diallo's good enough to pluck the ball out the sky and have it stick at his feet. If he does that, he can't score. He does it on purpose to give himself the angle to have the shot. And the touch alone, exquisite. He deserves to score. People can talk about that. City been giving goals away. This ain't just against Manchester United. You don't go 1-12 if everything's going very, very well and you're defending exceptionally. I've seen these men make mistakes. I've seen them against Spurs, seen them against Feyenoord be absolutely awful. And they're just 2 games. Like, go back and check the rest of their games where they've been defensively suspect. And we deserve that. And Diallo, even outside of the goal, was the best player on the pitch and was a constant threat before that. And I can't believe I'm saying this, a thoroughly deserved win. Can't remember the last time we went to Manchester City. Not only did we win the game, I sit here, I'm watching and go, we deserved that. That was thoroughly deserved. It wasn't a back to the walls job where they've peppered us. I know Nana's made save after save, and they've had 70 to 80% possession, and we caught them on the break and nicked the game 1-0. And it was deserved. And that's props to Amorim, and that's props to the players, because defensively we was on point as well. Maguire pocketed Haaland. Did nothing. Bullied him the entire game.
What's happening to him, by the way?
Yeah, did absolutely nothing. Same with De Ligt, Martinez, both solid from a defensive standpoint. Dalot going forward, not too good. Defensively solid. Mazraoui, been our best player. To me, been the best signing in the Premier League in terms of value for money. He was 12 million. Been quality. Agate, who everyone wrote off under a couple games because he was playing under Ten Hag, and everyone was looking, oh, he's terrible, this, that, and the third. He started the attack for the winning goal, but he's been playing well also as well. Bruno, he's going to be hit and miss because he's just not a very good player. But Maino's getting back up to speed. You can see that because he's only just come back from injury as well. So, and we mentioned there about Pep, about getting the best out of blunt tools. That's what Amorim is working with. Is that bad that he's left his two senior attackers at home? Forget about age. I'm just talking about in terms of appearances. These men are like Garnacho's super experienced. So's Rashford. And it goes to show how overrated experience is. Because Højlund's new to the league. It's only his second season here. This is Diallo's first full season, like, playing on a regular basis for Manchester United as well. Maino's also new. So it goes to show, forget experience, do you have the quality? But he's been implementing the system. And a lot of our games have looked like that. The only difference is that in the final third, we actually did the business. And this is why created, it should have been more. But no, we actually didn't score more goals. And obviously being there, like I said, is why I sound like this. Because the limbs in the away end from them 2 goals. And anyone who's been at the Etihad, the City fans were only like 10, 15 yards away from us. So I'm like, right, this could get on top, because there was only a bit. The security was there, but I'm like, this could get kind of crazy. And they kept us in there for like 45 minutes after the final whistle. And my guy's a steward there, and he was like, yo, when you get out, go straight home. He was like, it's pandemonium outside. It's crazy. Yeah, because they was pissed.
Wow.
Yeah. They was pissed. So
they're very, very like that up there, don't they? They're very like half of them don't even watch the game. They're trying to bait you and everything like that. That's the way they are, like, you know. And then when you know, they don't like losing, but they're getting used to it, like, you know. So
I tell you what, Lee,
you better get used to it.
I've got to say this. I've not seen, like, you know, when they say your fan base is like your manager. They are spoiled brats, aren't they? I cannot believe what they are like when they lose this Man City lot. I haven't ever seen all, and now it's like, oh, we're rubbish. What do you want us to say? Well, you weren't saying you were rubbish at the start of the season. You all said you were going to win the league.
They're a funny breed.
Well, we've got old players. What do you expect? Why did they say that at the start of the season?
Because they ain't used to it. Because it's like you're four-peating. Everyone thinks you're going to win the league. I thought you were going to win the league at the start as well. You got Pep Guardiola, and it's not that they've fallen off. If they had fallen off and they're in second place and they're 3 points off first place, you go, all right, cool. You're not exactly happy, but you're still in a situation. I was like, will we finish in the top 4? Where's our next win coming from? What's the rebuild going to say? You got this 130 charges now, things like that. Yeah, go on, judges.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, I think the credit which probably isn't given to Man United yesterday is at 1-0, they defended really, really well. They defended well yesterday. Like, you know, you go 2-0 down, the game's over, like, you know what I mean? But they kept in it. And, you know, there's always that chance if you at 1-0 in it to keep yourself in it. And that's where defenders win your games. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they hung in there and got the result. Like, you know, and listen, I know exactly what you mean with in the away end at that place. There. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you what, it's a true story. This was, you know, they're 1-0 up against us at that game there, and they are giving it to you, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not even watching the game. They want to bait you and everything like that. When it was 2-1 up, it's lovely, like, you know what I mean? When we got players sent off, I said, I've got to move from here because I can't have this, like, do you know what I mean? We actually moved, you know what I mean? Because, like, they just don't watch the game. They're just on you, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then, like, just as we thought, well, let's go back now, 2-1, like, give it to them, like, you know what I mean? They equalised, but
that's exactly what it was, judges. As soon as they scored, because they was going back as soon, because I walked in like 5-10 minutes before kickoff. It was already going off from then. Both fan bases singing at each other. I was like, "Aye, really? This is a proper." And then when they bagged their goal in the first half, they were just giving us so much.
Yeah, just so giving
much
it, like, you know,
that they was giving us. But then when Bruno bagged that pen, silence.
So and then like towards the end, you know what I mean, like a lot of fans have gone, haven't they? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We were singing them. We was waving them off. Bye. Yeah. We were singing.
I'd imagine there was a few waiting outside after the game, like, you know what I mean, as they always do. And it's a funny place, City, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, with all that football and talented players on the pitch, they'd rather watch their away fans. I'm not saying all their fans, just in that area, like, you know what I mean? They'd rather watch the away fans and what their reaction is, and stop seeing a prime De Bruyne. Like, half of them will go, like, you know, I mean, 10 years' time, what was it like watching De Bruyne? Oh, I don't know, really. I was watching Arsenal and Man City fans and goading them all. I didn't really know what a great player he was. You
That's all people were doing the entire game. People were just offering each other out. I see you outside. That's what it was.
Watch the game. You won. Watch the game. You've got good players out there, like, you know. And 10 years' time, they go, he was a good player, wasn't he? Jack Grealish. Jack who? Did he play for us?
Crazy work.
About what the fans are doing.
Yeah, it's crazy work.
I've not noticed. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah.
Next time any fan goes to Etihad, like, just
be prepared. That's all I would say. Be very, very prepared. Because as soon as I was like, oh, these men are close, you know. That's the one thing that I was noticing. They're like 10 yards away from where, because I was like, where I was pitch level, but I was like right at the back, but pitch level. So I had a great view of like everything that was going on. And the save yards are like 10, 15 yards away. I'm like, they decided to jump over here, couldn't get peak even though there's security. I was like, I don't know who planned this, but yeah, very, very important win. Deserved victory. Props to Amorim, because had we lost that game, people would be crashing on him, and people was criticizing him before the game, the dropping of Rashford and Garnacho, even though they deserve to be dropped. And even the way he dealt with that, the way he spoke about it before the game, the way he spoke about it after the game, he's been doing this, politely calling these men terrible. He's been saying this. All he's saying whenever he talks about our attack, whether it's individuals or overall, is how bad they are, but he's not going to come out and say that. But props to him because it worked. Got the lineup right, got the subs right, and again, a deserved win. So props to him. Now on to Spurs. Important game. Bournemouth at home. Need to win those two. No point beating City away, and then we go out of the cup and then drop points at home to Bournemouth, especially with how close the table is as well. And Europa League's not back till January, but we know we're already in the top 8 now. Win those 2 games, no playoffs, and you go and target that. And hopefully, speaking of January, we do some business, which I think we will. In fact, he's leaving out senior players already. We need an attacker at least, even if it's a loan, because it's woeful currently. And you can see his system is working, but the quality is just not there. But yesterday, very, very much on point, and Diallo was the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, he was, man. He was outstanding. I thought it was a pleasure to watch him, to be fair. I really like this kid. And he's come through, and I've always lied to him, to be honest. I can't quite believe Garnacho and Rashford have been picked previously instead of him, but there you go. That's Ten Hag for you. Listen, people, we're going to close with this super chat, which is, of course, telling everybody to hit the likes. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit subscribe, people. Come on, it's free. 2 buttons that mean the absolute world to us all. Make sure you're following Lee Judges TV, Football's 12th Man, Sarcasm City TV, and, of course, BDB Dan. Make sure you go check Roms out as well. Listen, stay tuned, people. We're going to be sending you over to Saeed TV. Saeed's live at the moment with a panel. LB is going to be getting a cooking. My goodness. So big up to every single one of you. And we will see you next time. Flawless, what you got coming up, bro?
Yeah, today what we got coming up? 4:30 p.m. Fan calling show, people. So open. Feel free to call in. It's open, so you can call in. Tell me how wrong you think I am. That's absolutely fine, people. No matter who you support. And then later around 12:30, I've got the Premier League podcast Yardman edition. So that's always fun. You know what I'm saying? Barbershop talk. So yeah, tune into that, people. Just go to Sarcasm City TV and you'll see the schedule there. Blessed for having me as well, man. Appreciate it. Shouts to you, Dan. Big up Judges. Dan, always good to see you as well, man.
Nah, come on, man. Legend, man. Dan, likewise, man. What are you up to? Where can people see you today?
Yeah, busy week over on my channel, BDB Dan, TikTok as well. Still got European match to play. We're the only team in
Shamrock,
England.
like, I mean,
Yeah, we got Shamrock.
That's an unbelievable fixture, that, isn't it? Like,
They're actually unbeaten, so it could be our biggest test yet. In the
wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? What are you
So,
playing, the youth team?
Do you know what? We have to, didn't we? We've qualified now. Once that fixture's done, we don't have a Conference League game till March. So it's a strange competition, this new way they've done it. But yeah, then we got a tough game against Everton away. So yeah, busy week just talking about all the stuff going on.
Can you break them down? Can you break them down, Dan? Can you break them down?
Yeah, it would be all right against Everton.
Big up, man. Listen, me and Judges will be back very, very soon. Make sure you are both following both of us and subscribing as well. I'll be on 12th Man later as well. Race for Europe will be back at 8 p.m. So big up to every single one of you guys. And we'll see you next time. We're out of here. Laters.
Blessings.